At the end of the day, if you want to rehab, you have to ask yourself, ano bang budget mo? Because even if I tell you, you can build, the best use is a 20-story building, but you don't have budget for that, then you cannot proceed. It's good to see you all here. It's another Saturday night. Hello everybody. I'm so appreciative of all those who are active sa chat room. Mabuhay kayo. So tonight, let me ask you first a question. What do you want to learn more in tonight's session? Meron ba kayong question na nasa mind nyo na hinahanapan nyo ng sagot? Ayan. So today, we're gonna talk about rehabilitation or renovation. I have a very exciting presentation for you. We're gonna break apart a case study. Nakakatawa to. Hindi to bullet point, hindi to PowerPoint. This is my only PowerPoint. Itong rehab framework. And that's all you need to know. When you want to rehab, I gave you a framework for buying. Diba? This is a rehab for framework. Ito lang. 6 things you need to know. Number 1, habu. Ano ba ang habu? Habu means the highest and best use. Very important in property. What is the highest and best use? Yes, Regina. Number 2 is your budget. At the end of the day, if you want to rehab, you have to ask yourself, ano bang budget mo? Because even if I tell you, you can build, the best use is a 20-story building, but you don't have budget for that, then you cannot proceed. Number 3, that's important in your framework, is your suppliers. Diba? In every renovation, in a build and sell, ang laban dyan is how low, how affordable you can build your project. So you should have good suppliers. I'm gonna take this chance. If you're in the condo renovation, if you're doing any properties, you will need to have partners, supplier. Diba? There's so many things you have to unlearn and learn about working with your suppliers. And of course, supply and demand. You want to make sure you're always providing a product na low in supply, increasing in demand. Alright? Number 5 is execution. Diba? At the end of the day, guys, I tell you, I learned this from one of my mentors, si Josiah Go. And I want to share with you. Josiah Go is really a smart guy. Really smart, intelligent, practical. Ang turo niya sa akin, sabi niya, Carl, it's a big difference between a great idea and a great execution. There's also a great idea and a bad execution. And there's also a bad idea with a great execution. What you want is a great idea, a great strategy, then a great execution. Okay? What is a sample of a poor execution? If you go to an event or you go to a party, you're all wearing your mask. You're wearing your face shield. Diba? You come in protected with your alcohol. Diba? Alcohol ka ng alcohol every 5 minutes like me. Good execution. But at the last minute, nung nilabas na yung pagkain, tanggalan na tayo ng mask saka ng face shield at tawanan na. And after eating, you put back your face mask and face shield. Diba? That is bad execution because hindi mo na kompleto yung tamang proseso. And this happens in life many times wherein we have this great idea but at the last minute, we do not finish it. And then the result comes out bad. I've seen so many people in this property game always finding fault in others. Diba? But hindi kailangan, everybody's your friend. Your curtain supplier, your cabinet maker, your tubero, your electrician, they are all in your team. If they fail, you fail. So your job is to make sure they are successful. Sabi nga nila, diba? As a president of the company, if you're a manager, you're a supervisor, you don't need to do anything. You just have to sit and make sure everybody does their job spectacularly. In every rehabilitation, in every project that you do, there has to be a follow-through. Meaning, tapos na yung project or almost tapos, then linisin natin until it's completely done. And that is your framework for a successful rehabilitation. So, case study of a 60 square meter dilapidated store. Guys, this is gonna be just kwentuhan, but it's gonna be far more effective in teaching you today's lesson. Okay, case study. It's a how many square meter? 60 square meter. It's a dilapidated store. Is this a familiar sight? Yes. Lahat tayo familiar tayo dito. This is a typical Filipino street. A typical Filipino street. And we were offered this property. Ayan. 3.5 million. 60 square meter. Typical tindahan. Alright? So, we analyze the property. And I'm going to share with you how you analyze. We analyze it with the opportunity and the threat. So, I'm teaching you this model kasi pag may nakita kayong property, this will be the exact flow that you will do, no? Oy, nakita ni Precious na corner lot. Yes, it's a corner property. So, medyo okay, di ba? The opportunity here is for us to have a commercial property for long-term cash flow, di ba? Siyempre, pwede maging tindahan yan, 7-Eleven, Alphamart, or mga restaurant, gano'n. Yan yung balak natin. And nai-realize natin na okay lang maliit. Kasi pwede natin gawa ng higher structure, 4-story structure, and just maximize the land area. This is also in an unfamiliar place, meaning we went to look at this property totally first time in the area. So what am I telling you also? That it's okay to go to an area na hindi ka familiar. You don't need to just buy in area na familiar ka. You can go to areas na hindi ka familiar and you learn it. So when we saw this opportunity, we saw na, sige, we're not familiar with this place. We will go for it. And then we also saw that medyo kulang ang magagandang structure in the area. What does that mean? Just to exaggerate, will 7-Eleven rent this property? Will Alphamart rent this property? Will Chacha Go rent this property? Not so, because the structure is old. Diba? Yeah. So, I want to share with you guys yung sinabi ko kanina about there is a lack of decent structure in the area. Puro dilapidated, puro maliliit, puro luma. Diba? And then we also saw that there's a high population in the area. If you buy this property and rehab it, you wanna find a tenant na yan yung criteria niya. Gusto niya ng high foot traffic, gusto niya ng volume, and he's looking for a newer structure. Sir, do you still consider if the area is being flooded during rainy season with the same mechanics? Wow. Carla, this is a interesting story. Okay, first, I will definitely think about it. Pepreno ako, I will think about it if I wanna go to that area. But I will consider it. I will consider. Because why? If you go to places like Marikina or areas that are flooded, business still continues on a day-to-day. Yun nga lang, every time there's a rain and the flood, may worry sila, no? So, I will analyze the property and say, okay, how much to? How much to? And what are my opportunities? What are my threats? Is this the best use for my money, for my capital? It's called capital, no? If the answer is, yeah, sige, go for it. Diba? You just have to bring up the elevation of your property. Kung commercial, bring up the elevation of your property kasi may demand pa rin. There is a demand, there is still a population, there are still people in Marikina. And Marikina, I tell you, is a beautiful place. I'm friends with sila Mrs. Bayani Fernando. And it's a beautiful place. Yung nga lang talagang maybe once a year or I don't know, there's this big flood water coming to the river kaya nag-overflow. So I will compare it. Is this the best use of my money? If the answer is, no, Carl, may ibang paglalagyan ka pa, then I will not risk it. I will not. Why? What for? So these were the situation that faced us when we were presented with this property. The natural knee-jerk reaction is to look at the threats and say, ay, wag na. Mahirap kausap eh. Ay, wag na. Parang we can't seem to get a realistic answer kasi it's always bloated or exaggerated. We could have walked away with that, but we realized na it's still an opportunity. There's still an opportunity. You just have to hurdle or manage the threats. Sometimes in our Filipino culture, we do not play to win. I'm gonna repeat, we do not play to win. We just play for the sake of playing. For example, I've seen many people, they will look at the property and they will ask me if it's good and I will tell them it's good, you buy it. And they will ask 10 more people. They will keep on asking and asking and asking until one day, mabenta na yung property. And they would say, ay, hindi yan para sa akin. Diba? But if you look at it, and I tell you, so many people, maybe out of 10, 9 people will do that kind of strategy. They are playing just to play the game. They will keep on asking, looking around, and when they ask an expert, if it's a good and the experts say good, they will ask from a relative, they will ask from kung sino-sino until somebody will convince them not to buy it. And then they will not buy it, and they will just say, naunahan ako eh. Palagi na lang ako nauunahan. I've heard of so many people come to me, Carl, palagi ako nauunahan. Grabe. And when you deep dive into the situation, nare-realize mo, because you don't make a decision. You don't take action.